Hello out there in Na'ala land. We begin Parshat Balak in Mirz Hashem. Today's shir is Lil Nishmas Rachel Leah Bas Chaim Tzvi Allah Shalom. We thank Levi Bamzer from the studio and all the Na'ala staff, and we begin our Parsha. First with our overview, which is, this is basically culled from the Sefer Lilmod Lamed. Balak, who of course was the king of Moab, viewed with dismay the victory of the Bnei Yisrael over the Amori. He dreaded an invasion of his own country, and therefore he formed an alliance with some of his former enemies, the Midianites. Balak then sent messengers to ask Bilam of Peor, who was a very noted sorcerer, to curse the Bnei Yisrael. Bilam asked the delegation to stay with him overnight, so that he could consult with Hashem to decide whether he could comply with their request. During that night, he was warned by God not to go with the men, so he sent them away. Thinking that a more tempting invitation would prove effective, Balak sent a second delegation, a larger, more prestigious one, offering to Bilam all kinds of more honors and things that should appeal to him more if he would only cooperate. Now, Bilam was obviously motivated by personal greed. He asked them to remain until he could have received guidance from God. And this time he was given permission to go, but to speak only as God had directed him. During the journey to Balak, Bilam's donkey saw an angel right in front of him, obstructing his way. And he was bearing a sword, obstructing the path, and so this donkey turned aside. And the impatient Bilam struck the animal several times in an attempt to make the animal proceed and keep going on the journey. But the animal refused to cooperate. After the donkey protested this undeserved cruelty, Bilam finally saw the angel himself and was told he was faulty by inwardly wanting to accept Balak's offer. Bilam offered to return home, but was told to continue on his trip and speak exactly as God had ordered him. Balak met Bilam at the border of the Arnon River and brought him to a nearby city for a feast in his honor. The next day he took Bilam to a hill where he could look over where Bnei Yisrael was settled. And there he could see a hill that was sacred to the worshippers of Baal, from where he could see part of the camp of Bnei Yisrael. After Bilam and Balak had sacrificed a ram and a bullock on each of those 7 altars, Bilam told Balak to stay near the burnt offering while he withdrew to inquire from God. And then when he returns, he's going to deliver his very first speech. And he says, "How can I curse the ones that God has not cursed? Behold, it is a people that lives apart and not included among the other nations." Obviously, Balak is very angered by Bilam's unexpected praise for Bnei Yisrael, and Balak takes him to the top of Mount Pisgah, hoping for different results. However, Bilam once again disappointed Balak by declaring that God would not break his promise of blessing Bnei Yisrael and that no magic could prevail against them. In this way, Balak asked Bilam to desist from either cursing or blessing the Bnei Yisrael before departing. Though Bilam then foretold the sovereignty of Israel and the doom of Moab, the doom of Edom, Amalek, and other enemies of the Jewish people. The Bnei Yisrael then encamped at Shittim. Here the heathen woman of Moab, advised by Bilam, tempted the Bnei Yisrael to join them in the worship of Baal Peor and to participate in an orgy of idolatry and immorality. Moshe sentenced the sinners to death, and a plague developed among the assembly. Pinchas, the son of Elazar, the Kohen Gadol, witnessed the flagrant act of immorality between an Israelite and a Midianite woman. Zealously defending the laws of God, he executed the evildoers. The plague subsided, but only after 24,000 of the congregation had perished. Okay, so now we're going to begin the Parsha. We're going to be alternating in and out of my outline, which I prepared, and the words of the Pasuk itself. Let's give a little background, which is, why is it, and it's not insignificant, we have a Parsha named after Balak, we'll get to that in a moment, but why do we have such a prominent prophet as Bilam, a non-Jewish person? And here's a prophet that's truly for profit. He's a prophet, he knows the future, but he's doing it because he wants his inner greed. He's tempted by money. So God gave the non-Jews a prophet so they would have no excuse if they failed to serve God. If they would come and say, listen, if we only would have had a prophet, if we would have had Moshe, we too would have served God, but you never provided for us. Here's the answer. On the contrary, you had a very gifted prophet. You had Bilam. And yet, Bilam cursed the people to be more immoral than they'd already been. Yet amazingly, Bilam defined the essence of the Jewish people even more than the Jewish prophets did. Because what do we find? The Jewish prophets, you have to look in the Navi, Yeshayahu, Yechezkel, or all of Tresar, they always say how terrible the Jews are. You did this sin, you did that sin. You oppressed the widows. You didn't take care of the orphan, another crime. And here comes a prophet of the non-Jews, the hater of the Jews, and he says all these wonderful blessings about the Jewish people. He defined the very essence of the Jewish people, even more than the Jewish prophets did. The first prayer a Jew says upon going to shul in the morning is Ma tovo alecha Yaakov. How beautiful are tents of Yaakov. These are the words taken from Bilam, which he said about the Jewish people. Okay, now as far as Balak the king, now having a parsha in the Torah named after Balak is not something which should be taken lightly. What did he do to deserve this honor? Either in the merit of sacrifices which he sincerely brought to God, albeit his intention was to curse the Jews, but he sincerely brought those sacrifices to God, or the merits of his illustrious descendants. That's of course because Ruth is going to come from Moab,